We're ready.
Do it.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right.
All right, we're coming to you on Tuesday night. We're doing an early pod this week. Bowen's getting married this weekend, so that's a big thing. So with the festivities for him kicking off this weekend, plus I've got some work shit going on. Wednesday, Thursday just didn't work, so coming at it early. Maybe don't have as many notes, stats, trends, things like that as we normally would, but maybe going in more with vibes this week will kind of set the tone for how we close out the season here. So went 3-2 last week. A winning week, positive week, good week. Continue to close that gap on 500. We're now one game below 500. I promise you we will get there. And hopefully it's going to come this week in a big way. But just to recap the week 13 picks. So Bowen, W for Bowen with the Lions, -4.5. I think they were up, 21-0 at one point, and that lead almost went bye-bye. But Carr did his thing, then he got hurt. Jameis came in, he did his thing. And we held on. Made it a little interesting there towards the end, but we got the W with the Lions. Kiernan had a loss with the Bucks -5. It's funny. 2 weeks ago we caught a break with Zay Flowers. He could have gone down, decided to take it to the house, and that gave us a Ravens cover. And this week we were snake bitten by the opposite. Rashad White, not a rookie, a little bit more of a veteran presence there. He busted one through the hole. Could have taken it to the house. That would have given us a cover. Some say he did the right thing. Others, like ourselves, would argue differently. But he chose to go down. So they won by 3? So we did not get that cover, but that was tough to watch.
Yeah, I mean, once I turned the game on and saw the rain, I honestly just felt bad. It's like, it's already an ugly number with the 5, and then having to do it in that weather. I just immediately had a bad feeling about it. So it was one of those where once they kind of got off to that rocky start and it was pretty back and forth, I kind of just gave up on it. And, it's almost just setting your expectations so low that if they were able to pull it off, then cool. So, I mean, it did look like we were going to have a chance at the end. Not just the White run. I mean, that type of shit, I never expect that to actually go in anyways. So it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
In my mind, it shouldn't have come down to that, but I do think that the weather just made it such a sloppy game that it was hard to ever get our feet off the ground with needing a touchdown win.
Yeah. We weren't on this game, but it was more for me for fantasy purposes. But I had the exact same feeling when they went to the Falcons Jets game. Because I had Bijan in a league, I had Brees Hall in a couple leagues, and as soon as I saw that weather, and I saw like the first drive or two, I was just like, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
And I had just bad vibes for that entire game. So it was, the rain can really do some things.
Yeah, it's like one of those, like, if I knew it was going to be like, regular rain
Like
would scare me off, but if I knew it was going to be like that, I would have just found another game and not even had to worry about that. So that was definitely a regret of mine, not checking the weather report. I didn't learn. I didn't check any weather for this week, but
speaking of weather, our third pick, which was mine, was the Cardinals +5.5, and that game had 2 major delays. A couple storm systems rolled through. I mean, I feel like that game finished like halfway through the afternoon slate.
It was dark out. It was dark out
in
Pittsburgh or wherever.
Yeah, it was crazy weather. But Cardinals +5.5, and frankly, I mean that one kind of just felt pretty easy the entire way, which was nice. So, even though we had to kind of sit through a couple delays, Cardinals got off to a good start. Steelers couldn't do anything. Pickett gets hurt. Trubisky comes in, he can't do anything, and so that was kind of nice to have a game that didn't really feel like we needed to worry about that one. So that was good. So we went into the Sunday night game 2-1. We had the Chiefs -5.5. A little controversial. I know Kieran was very much on the Chiefs or on the Packers side. Made some good points. Bowen and I chose not to listen. Majority ruled. We went Chiefs -5.5, and never really felt like we were in that game. From a spread perspective, Packers came out. I think they scored right away on their first drive. They looked good. Offensively, just really seemed to have some good things going. The Chiefs seemed like they continued to struggle. We were kind of like within striking distance, but it I don't know. It never really felt like we had a shot. So Kieran was right.
Yeah,
Any-
I mean, I think I said in it like I thought they had a chance to pull off the upset. I didn't necessarily expect it to be
yeah.
that like they didn't shit on them, but I'd consider that to be somewhat of a dominant home win, just the way that they controlled the clock. I think that they had 5 drives themselves. The Packers had like 5 drives into the fourth quarter or something like that. I don't know. The broadcast was talking about something strange like that, but yeah, I think they just came out and they played in a way that you don't want to see a team playing when you have like a touchdown spread, and just knowing that there's going to be limited opportunities to even put points on the board. And then they're not only taking a ton of time off the clock, but able to get at least 3 on the board with all these drives. So they just killed that clock, and the Chiefs just had to play perfect, and they played far from it, especially, that interception where it looked like the Packers knew exactly what play they were running. So, good win. I felt good for me just because I've been banging that Jordan Love drum. Like, I was in the offseason, I was liking the Packers. I thought they were a little underrated. I thought that the departure, the loss of Aaron Rodgers was being way overrated. I thought that he deserved maybe a little more blame for how poor of a season they had last year. I thought he was getting off, way too easy for all that. So, I mean, the Packers are a competitive team. They're going on a little bit of a run here now. So, interesting to see how their season ends up.
With like Watson back and healthy, and like, I feel like it does feel like they've got something going there. I mean, he's got weapons. But he's getting it done.
Yeah, it's like I was saying, like I really like that receiving core. I know that online there's a ton of discussion about who's the wide receiver one there, all that stuff. And it always feels like Christian Watson kind of gets pushed to the bottom when they're talking about Jaden Reed and Romeo Dobbs. But I mean, when he is healthy, when you look at his game logs, like, and I follow it way closer just because he's on my dynasty team, all that stuff. But when you look at his healthy game logs, he puts up like a nasty game anytime that he's at full health. It's just that the issue is, one, being on the field to begin with, and then also staying on the field and everything. But when he's there 100%, he's playing the full game. And we even saw it at the end of the game. He goes on that run and then he pulls up lame with his hamstring. I think he's going to be okay. But I mean, anytime he's there, he dominates. And people talk about the touchdowns being fluky last year. At what point do we say they're not? I think he's already at like, I don't know, 5 touchdowns. He might be at even more. But I think he's at like 5 touchdowns already. Had 2 there. He had 1 when he first came back. And he's like, some guys just have a nose for the end zone. I don't know why people say, oh, touchdowns aren't a sticky stats. Like, sometimes they just can be.
So sometimes guys are great there,
Yeah. And like I was starting to say too, it's like, when last week I was talking about that receiving core, it's like I called it kind of like a Walmart version of that Bengals receiving core where, they have like their stud, like alpha receiver. They have, another guy that's kind of like the steady Eddie. Then they have like the other guy that can just run on the other sideline and run all types of routes and do all that shit. And it's like, maybe they don't have like that true superstar in that tier, but I think that they have some good depth on that team, and they can really put it together on the offense.
Yep. Yeah, they probably deserve a little more respect than they got. So that evened us out at 2-2. Went into Monday night. Needed a win for the winning week, and boy, did we get it with the Bengals plus 8.5. Outright, man. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence going down changes things. Not just change, but changes things quite a bit for the Jags. I mean, you see that in terms of how the lines flipped this week with the Browns. But Browning was great. Like, I mean, even if Lawrence was healthy for that entire game, like, I mean, they were in that game. They were, keeping pace with him. He played a great football game. He did the right thing and just continued to feed Jamar Chase in the passing game. And I'm not just saying that because I have Chase in our fantasy league, Kieran. But that was that was a great performance. I mean, they also had all three wide receivers back, seemingly at full health. So I'll be very interested to see, if he's able to kind of build on that performance from last night. But that was a great win. I think that was unanimous.
Needed it.
Odd.
Needed it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was.
So 3-2. So again, one game under 500.
What's our record at? I want to write it down.
So we're 31, 32, and 2.
All right. Cool.
All right. Should we get, I think just a couple, I guess a couple things to note, before we get into the picks. So the spreads are as of this moment. So we can even as we rip off our picks, we can also just make sure that we're referencing, the same line number. I've also got the NFL odds with the Circa lines pulled up as of like an hour ago. So, but obviously the lines might change, by the time we get the link and things come out on Thursday morning. But the picks we make will be the picks. I don't think that we'll see anything substantial unless somebody tears an ACL in practice. And then for the Monday game, we agreed, there's 2 Monday night games this week. So we'll focus for Monday night. We'll focus on the ESPN game, which is the Titans and Dolphins.
Why is there 2 months? Is it they're just doing it for
I don't
fun,
know
or
where that came from.
is there a
I was scrolling on that link that Tristan sent for the odds, and then I saw 2 games with the same date. I did
Do
not
they
know
overlap
that
in
was
time too? Are they like both like 7 and 8 or something like
going on. I
that?
think they start at the exact same time, and just one's at ABC and one's ESPN.
That's
Yep.
stupid.
Really. Yeah, it's I have no, I don't understand at all. It makes no sense to me, but it is what it is. So
Put that game on a Saturday instead. It's on the weekend. If it's just Army Navy this weekend, just put it on Saturday.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Feels
yeah.
strange.
I don't know. It's fucking strange.
Actually, they'd probably get some backlash. I think they'd actually get some backlash they don't want for that.
Probably.
Saturday
is
like volunteered to compete with Army Navy.
You can't go against the troops.
Yeah, I feel like that's like the one thing where they're like, yeah, let's.
That'd be so fucked up.
Yeah,
They just
I
steal all
will.
the ratings.
I will say the one thing I don't, and I love the troops, respect the troops. I will admit, I don't sit down every year and sit on my couch and watch that game.
It's a boring game.
I don't want to go there. Again, I don't want to disrespect the troops.
Well, they're not even troops yet. They're future.
Yeah, the soon to be troops.
They still have time to back out.
But yeah, but oh, look at that. That's unbelievable.
Vibes, right?
But I will say the one thing I do look forward to seeing every year, CBS does a hell of a job with the pregame hype video package. They usually release a 4 or 5 minute kind of film, paying homage to the game and the troops. They do a hell of a job with that. So I always look forward to watching that. But respect the troops. Maybe just not their football product. All right, let's get into it. Should we go to the wheel?
Yeah,
Need it.
All right. Back to being number 1 on the wheel after being 3rd last week.
Mhm.
All right, what do you got?
All right, I'm taking the Ravens -7. They're playing the Rams. Pretty much I'm just I already did this once this year and we want to do it again. It's just Lamar versus the NFC. I think, against the spread, it's not as great, but straight up, I think he has 1 loss to the NFC. I like the Rams kind of coming off of that win against Cleveland. I actually liked Cleveland last week. I thought Joe Flacco looked pretty good. Of course, Flacco going to Flacco, throw some interceptions, all that stuff. I don't know if you guys watched that game too closely, but the safety in the end zone, at the very end of the game was hilarious. But I kind of like going against them coming off that win. They're flying out to Baltimore now. Puka Nacua sprained AC joint. I think he played through it maybe and still put up like insane stats. But Cooper Kupp has kind of looked like shit. Since he hurt his ankle that second time. And then, of course, with Nacua being a little bit limited, I just don't really trust the Rams coming over and playing against that. And with Lamar's record against the NFC, I'm going to stick with that and hope for a blowout because, quite frankly, everybody's talking about Brock Purdy or, should Tyreek or Christian McCaffrey be in the MVP discussion. Lamar Jackson's sitting there at 8-1. Dak Prescott's all finally at the top as well. But I think Lamar is still the sneaky pick for MVP. So I think that this could be a good game for him to kind of get back into the conversation as it starts to shift away from him.
I like the pick. I mean, I looked at the game for a little bit, kind of thought on it. I think the kind of that knee-jerk reaction was, the Rams have looked good the last couple of weeks. We took them a couple weeks ago when they played the Cardinals, and they were, it seemed like they were kind of getting back closer to full health. Like Kyron Williams was coming back, had more of their weapons out there. But I think to your point, Kieran, and like this feels like it's like the perfect letdown spot. They got to travel, they got to go across the country. They're coming off a couple like really impressive wins. But I think there's still some fundamental issues that exist. Like the Cup thing. Yep. Like Nacua may not be at 100%. Like, I think in part
If he's available, I don't even know if that's like a thing that you can really. I don't know too much about an AC joint sprain, but
yeah.
I mean, he was in like serious. I think he did come back, but he was in like serious pain.
Yeah, he did. He did come back into the game, and I think he made a couple catches. But this is a really good Ravens defense too. I mean, you talked about Lamar.
They could smother him. Yeah.
This is also a really good defense. So that could be part of the problem for them too. Is like if they're not, if they're lacking in full health again, coming across the country and are the Ravens coming off a bye too?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Well,
and it's like they're kind of like the best team that people aren't really talking about or taking
AFC's wide open.
It's all about Philly dropping a game, San Francisco back, is Dallas a contender? Everybody's so focused on that NFC picture, and then when it comes to talking about the AFC, we're talking about Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow being hurt. What are the Chiefs doing? Are the Bills going to make the playoffs? Like the Ravens are the 1 seed, and they seem to still be flying under the radar. And like I said,
I have a question.
Still being 8-1. I mean, he is like easily the MVP for that team and like carrying that team. So it's like, I mean, I think that those odds are a little crazy for him. I think now would be a good time to buy on him. I feel like he's dipped a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I feel like they're a team that like, I just feel like they're staying focused and yeah, I think that this is a good kind of pre-hype spot. Maybe in a couple of weeks they're getting that love. That's what we want to look to fade them. But I think right now they're still a little under the radar for being a top team.
If you parlay the Harbaugh brothers to be champions, you can get it at 19.5-1.
I like Bama to win it all, so no good for me.
Putting it out there. Just putting it out there.
KB, that's coming in at a.
Did you see them like groan when they found out they're playing?
Oh, that was something, huh?
That's a tough look.
Terrible,
that's brutal.
And I'm pretty sure that Harbaugh. I forget what the exact comments were, but like he basically said that like they bring the underdog mentality onto themselves. Which is like, I feel like you shouldn't show your hand like that. I feel like it should kind of just be like unspoken. Yeah. It's like, yeah, like, like imagine if Belichick was like, yeah, I do find those headlines and put it on the bulletin board. It's like, yeah, I don't want to know that. Like, yeah, it's kind of lame when you admit to it. So I'm kind of out on Michigan right now.
Michigan's also like, I mean, the games that I've watched this year, at least, they kind of lack explosiveness. The Blake Corum 3 yards in a cloud of dust is really seems like what they bring to the table. As far as their offense is kind of what they do.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know if like Arthur's been hurt or not, but like he hasn't really been slinging the ball either.
No, he was hurt. He was hurt for the past month or so.
Yeah,
but like he's kind of back from it now. But even still, he's still definitely banged up.
Yeah. All right, Ravens at the pick.
And that's 7.
7 right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Right now they're at
That
7.
should hold. Yeah, that should hold.
Bone. That's a big pick for you. Wedding week.
Why? Oh yeah, fuck. Yeah, massive pick. So I'm going with the Bears plus 3.5. Line open at 4.5, came down to 3.5. I don't know if it'll keep coming down. Probably will sit right around that 3.5, 3 number. I would assume. We'll have to keep our eye out on that because there has been some movement there. Um, played the Lions in Week 11. If you guys remember that game, Bears were up 12 in the fourth quarter. Lions came out, closed that gap, ended up winning by 5 on a Hutchinson strip sack safety in the end zone there. So they ended up winning by 5. Didn't end up covering. The line was 7.5. That game was at home for the Lions. The Bears are home this week. I like the way the Bears have looked offensively. I do not like the way the Lions have looked defensively. I honestly didn't buy into. Maybe it was a lack of. I mean, maybe watching them on red zone, you don't see, um, the leaky defense. You only see the big plays. The main plays that they pay into. But I caught a lot of their last game. And that defense sucks. They have some serious problems. Fields and DJ Moore connected for a touchdown that game against the Lions in Week 11. I think he had like 8 receptions for 100 yards or 7 for 100 yards or something like that. I think he can replicate that. I like the spot as home dogs. Division rival, tough to beat a team twice in a year, especially within a month or so of each other. So I think the Bears went outright and they cover easily.
Yeah, this was a pick that it didn't make my top 5, but it very easily could have. I was kind of just between a few, and especially once I got to 4 or 5, I was kind of just throwing some in because it didn't really matter for this. But I like the pick as well for pretty much everything that you said. I was saying it last week when you picked them against the Saints, and they ended up covering, but. I think we started to see it where it's like, just Goff on the road is just kind of strange vibes. And like you said, they only won by 5 against the Bears earlier in the season, and that was in Detroit. And now they're going to play at Soldier Field. And I kind of like the Bears vibes right now. Their defense has really stepped up. They've won 2 of their last 3. I think it's like less than 2 touchdowns, less than 14 points in those 2 wins that they allowed. So the defense is playing pretty well. They're forcing some turnovers. And yeah, it's just the Bears or the Lions on the road. I don't really like how they're trending right now. And then, last year the big thing that was holding them back was their defense. It just wasn't great. I think they started to tighten it up a little bit to end the year, but I don't remember them adding any big pieces in the offseason or anything. It felt like they just kind of maybe came out and played a little bit
They
stronger.
drafted that linebacker. I don't know
Yeah. Like the other guy that they got right because they had 2 firsts, right?
Yeah. They drafted that linebacker out of Iowa, maybe it was some way
Yeah.
to. I don't think he stand out much, but
Yeah, but it's like, I feel like the team's just so overhyped. I thought the Lions were so overrated, and I guess they came out strong and made me look a little dumb early in the season, but I don't know. I mean, I just don't see it with Dan Campbell being a great coach. And, I think that Ben Johnson is a great offensive coordinator. That doesn't always translate to being the best team or anything like that. But I am very curious to see when he inevitably gets a job, what that means for Dan Campbell, because I'm not sure that he can, kind of carry that load. I think it could be very similar to what we've seen from Buffalo, where Dayball leaves and then slowly that offense starts to regress and regress more. All of a sudden, you're just stuck with a wild card team. So, it doesn't matter too much. It's just my take on the Lions in general. But yeah, I like the Bears. They're playing really well, and I think this is a good spot for them at home.
I like it. It was the number 2 pick on my card. As we said, it's on the road, it's outdoors. There is an expectation for bad weather. I think it's expected to be very windy, which again, I think, could be problematic for Goff, and it takes away a lot of the strength of the Lions offense. So, yeah, I like the pick, support it.
cool.
All right, back to the wheel.
Back to the wheel.
All right.
No.
Tris.
All right. All right. Um, it's a little gross, but the old adage, money's in the crumbs. I'm going Falcons -2.5 over the Bucks. I kind of hate myself for the pick, which part of the reason that I love it. Neither team looked good last week. We talked about Tampa Bay earlier, struggling to, obviously weather was a factor, but struggling to put away a pretty bad Carolina team that had just let go of their coach. The Falcons found a way, did enough to win over a third string quarterback in New York, but again, bad weather there as well. But this is one where the Falcons beat the Bucks a few weeks ago by a field goal. They got a late coup field goal to win 16-13. That was also the week. It was very weird. There was like a kind of like late pregame happening with Bijan, where apparently he got sick. They didn't really disclose it. They weren't using him. I think he was like in for a couple plays. He got 1 carry for 3 yards. But despite not using their first round draft pick in the game, they found a way. Despite, again, multiple Desmond Ridder turnovers, they found a way. And they did a pretty good job of containing that offense. They shut down the run. White didn't really get much going. And I think Tampa Bay's been vulnerable against the run. I mean, Chuba Hubbard just ran the fuck out of it against them last week. So I think this could be a big Bijan week, a big Falcons run game week. I think they can dictate the pace of the game, ball control, try and limit the amount of opportunities for Ritter to turn it over. So, at home, they're in a good spot. They're up a game on the Bucks. They can win the division. They only got to cover 2.5, so a field goal does it. They beat them by a field goal earlier this year on the road. I like the Falcons -2.5.
Yeah, this is the side I was. Oh, you got a sec.
Oh no, I didn't have much to say. I liked what you did say. I didn't have him on my board. I got burnt on the I think it was the nasty boy pick of the lock of the year or whatever I had earlier. So I've steered clear of all the Falcons games since then. I just risky. You never know what you're gonna get. Is my only question, is Taylor Heineke practicing? Or is he the starter when he is practicing? Or is there anything around that? Or is Ritter?
Oh no, because that's what I was saying 2 weeks ago. Was like it didn't really feel like Ritter was actually just earning the job back because that was the headline. But then what they weren't telling you is that Heineke just was out. So I don't know if it truly is his job. I'm trying to look it
Was
up.
Heineke was a concussion? Was he a concussion?
That was his calf.
Oh well.
He's cleared to suit his hamstring. He was cleared to suit up 10 days ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So 2 games now that he's been active. So I guess Ritter still has the job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is the side I was on. I just kept him off the card just because, I do worry. I'm not sure if this is the division that maybe just cannibalizes itself. And anytime somebody has an opportunity to build some type of lead in the division, they just give it up. So that did worry me with the Bucks only being 1 game behind the division leading Falcons. But, and part of it too is also maybe I'm just like a little biased anyways, because I did pick the Falcons to win the division before the season. That's like one of the few futures that I have. So I kind of wanted to remove myself from that as well. I didn't know if I could think too straight, but if the Falcons want to try and prove that, like this is their opportunity. You're at home, division rival. You have an opportunity to go head to head and build that lead right there, take care of business on your own. So if they're going to do it, they have to do it now. So, I like it for that reason.
Oh, all right. Falcons are the pick. Sunday night game.
All right.
Eagles and Cowboys.
Ooh, that's 3, right?
Yeah,
Cowboys favored by 3.
Yeah.
It says 3.5 on that's South Point.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Me again.
All right. You were just
This
dominating.
mad
the
wheel
field.
of
You're on a heater.
I'm on the Eagles +3 here. It is tough. It's a tough game when it's two really good teams, two hot teams. I guess the Eagles are coming off a loss, but that's exactly why I like them. They're coming off that loss. They are a team that tends to, or at least part of their identity seems to be not being phased by types of things like this. So they were due for a loss last week. That was a really, really big game for San Francisco. They talked so much shit in the offseason. And they had to go in there and back it up. So that was kind of a spot where I think that was just kind of San Francisco all the way there. I'm not going to put too much stock in that loss. So Eagles is underdogs. Maybe that's like a trap for us or something. But I feel like if you have this opportunity, and it's probably one of those where, I think Mahomes is like 6-0 straight up and against the spread as an underdog. I'm sure Jalen Hurts probably has a similar record since he's become the starter. But we wrote the Cowboys early in the season against San Francisco. I know that was a pick I was really against just because I just didn't trust the Cowboys in these spots. The Cowboys don't win games like this. And, last week, the Seahawks put up a really good effort. It obviously wasn't enough, but we saw Deron Bland, who people were saying should win Defensive Player of the Year, get absolutely torched. I think that, if DK Metcalf can do that, I think that a guy that is that size and that athletic, but way more nuanced as a receiver like AJ Brown can probably go out and do the exact same thing. And then, I would take Devontae Smith over Tyler Lockett in a heartbeat. So I think that this offense can put a lot together. I think they can make this really good secondary look silly for a second week in a row. I'm going to take the Eagles as underdogs here.
I'm going with the Cowboys. I like the Cowboys in this spot. KB, like you said, they don't win these games. I do think maybe I'm just the sucker and feeding into it, but I do think this year's Cowboys team is a little against the
What we said for the Niners game.
I know, but I'm gonna keep riding it. They feel a little bit different. And the Niners game was a while ago, right? That was much earlier in the season. I think the Cowboys have shown that they're a real contender this year. CeeDee Lamb has been maybe the best player in the NFL the past month and change. I think he torches that secondary. That secondary has been really, really poor. Jake Ferguson has looked good. He's always open somehow on that offense. The run game's starting to get going for the Cowboys. Dak is, like you've talked about earlier, KB. It's like him, Jalen, Lamar up there for MVP right now, Purdy. He's playing for a lot. And last game, they probably should have or could have, won that game against the Eagles the first time around. So I think there's a little bit more baked in there. So yeah, I think the Cowboys catch the Eagles on this one.
Woo. Boy. Cowboys have won 4 straight. They're rolling. Dak's in the MVP discussion. I mean, it definitely, like, I don't know. It is starting to feel like things are different. It's starting to feel like maybe they're building that momentum. I mean, we've seen Dak's odds. Well, I think he was 16-1 when we were talking about it. And what is he now? He's like,
I think everyone's like plus
3-1, 4-1.
4-1. So yeah, I mean, Bone, I hear you on the it just feels like maybe this is that moment. And that's exactly why I'm on the Eagles. Plus, this is it's an Eagles team that, I mean, they just beat the Cowboys a month ago, 28-3. This is a Cowboys team that struggled to put away the Seattle Seahawks, as Kieran talked about. This is an explosive, dynamic Eagles offense. You're putting them indoors on turf. They're getting 3 points. They're coming off a loss. I also look at the schedule and, I mean, this is like for the Eagles. They're one game up on the 49ers. on the 49ers, the Cowboys, and the Lions for home field advantage for that bye. And they get past this week. They got the Seahawks, they got the Giants twice, and they got the Cardinals. You win this game and you're in the driver's seat. Like, this is you take the Cowboys out of the equation. You maintain a lead against the 49ers, a 1-game lead against the 49ers, who still have to play the Ravens, which I think is going to be a really awesome game. And I think the Lions are going to find a way to like not get themselves into contention for that bye. So to me, like, yeah, I mean, they got their shit pushed in last week, but this is exactly why I think you look for them to bounce back. Kieran, you talked about kind of the mentality that they have as a team and how they approach things. And I think they got the memory of a goldfish. And I think they have the ability to bounce back. I think we're getting them at a great number because they got beaten so badly. And because the Cowboys have been streaking, like Eagles +3 to me, I'm just like, I love it. And I'm excited to take it. So,
yeah, I mean, even looking at like the Cowboys schedule, I mean, so like you said, they had won 4 in a row. That loss that they were coming off of was against the Eagles, but like they're beating teams, Seahawks, Commanders, Panthers, Giants, Rams, Chargers, Patriots, Jets, Giants. Those are their wins. They lost to the Cardinals. They got blown out by the Niners. And of course, they lost to the Eagles. And then you're looking at like Philly, and it's like they've beaten the Bills, who of course are weaker this year, but that's still a competitive team. That's Josh Allen, MVP quarterback, the Chiefs, the Dolphins, the Vikings early in the season with Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. So, this is just like a strong team. When I'm looking at tiers, I think that this is a legit team. This is a team coming off that Super Bowl loss. I expect them to be back in that conversation. I think it's just like the Cowboys every year. Every year they look like they have a chance. Maybe this can be the year, but they just haven't played anybody. And I don't know. Last week was very concerning. Seeing Bland just get burnt like that and like I said, to me, DK Metcalf is a great comparison for AJ Brown. I mean, they're buddies too, but a big bodied receiver like that who actually has the nuances and can run some routes, I think that Deron Bland could be in hell for 2 straight weeks.
And one thing I will say, that Eagles game last week with the Niners, they were never going to win that game. Tristan, I am glad that you picked against me. I think if we went against Kieran one more time on
we
Sunday
couldn't
night,
oh man, we couldn't have lived that down.
Yeah, it would have been brutal if the Cowboys did end up getting blown out, or if it was just a laugher of a game. That would have been it would have been a tough look. So it's almost better, I think, for the vibes the rest of the way. Going this way. So, yeah, no, it's gonna work out. Eagles with the points is always a good bet.
All right, Eagles it is. We're on to Monday night.
Well, plus, I mean, in a game like that too, we're getting the field goal. Like, there's a good chance it could just be a field goal game. So, I'd rather be the team that can lose by 3 than the one that has to win by 3.
Yeah.
I hope it goes up when we get some I hope some steam goes on the Cowboys and we maybe get that hook or something like that. I doubt it, but always a chance. Always a chance.
Hopefully, I think go the other way.
Yeah.
It would be nice if we could get that 3.5. It would be great.
That'd be huge. Yeah.
All right. And this is for Titans Dolphins, right?
Yep.
What is the second game? Just curious.
Giants
Packers. Yeah, Packers Giants.
Jeez. DeVito.
All right. I don't have a lot of stats around this game. I think there's been a bit of a narrative with the Dolphins in terms of, they beat up on bad teams. They usually smoke them. We saw that last week against the Commanders. I think the Titans have struggled. They haven't looked great. Derrick Henry's in concussion protocol. He might be out.
I thought Vrabel said that he wasn't.
Yeah, there's I don't know. I saw that too, but I also saw that he was, so I don't really know what the story.
Because he let so I watch every snap of every Titans game now that Levis is the quarterback.
Yeah.
He he went on a run, hit the ground, and then like it didn't look like anything, but it was kind of like he was like laying on the ground, kind of strange. And then right away they pulled him and they like brought him into the blue tent, brought him into concussion protocol. But he was back out there. He didn't play to end the game, but he was back out there. And then Vrabel just like I said in a press conference like yesterday that he's not in concussion protocol.
KB, I saw that Derrick Henry hit. I think that was more of just an example of just like big tree fall hard. He was just like a big dude.
Yeah, like he was like laying there like this, but I think he was like just doing that with his arms.
I think it looked a lot worse.
But he also, I mean, he left his feet and then took a hit. So like he had no leverage, you know. So
and it's just like one. I mean, it's like the same reason like when Teddy Bridgewater got pulled from that game against the Jets last year. It's the like the independent whatever they call them that like watches for the concussions. Like he saw it, so he sends a thing down to them. It's like, hey, we got to get Henry into the protocol. But yeah, I just looked it up. It looks like he's fine.
You know, you watch. I'm not sure if either of you guys tuned into any of the UFC fights last weekend, but you know, sometimes you see a referee let a fight go on in the way that they did for Bobby Green, and you're like, you wish that they were as cautious in the UFC as they are in the NFL. And I don't know if you guys saw, but like,
no,
I think Bobby Green got knocked out 3 times within.
You know, I think I saw a clip, but it almost looked like an older clip. So I just figured it was like I'd already seen.
I think the announcer said, "Oh, he's out. Oh, he's out again." He said, "Stop the fight."
Yeah, I think I did see that, and I just assumed it was an older clip I already saw.
They were like, "What is this referee doing?" It was crazy, you know. But
what does the ref gain from something like that? Just letting a fight like that go on.
I think sometimes, honestly, I think sometimes those guys just get gun shy. I think sometimes too, like you get a guy in there who's been in the game as long as like Bobby Green has, and you know you want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think too, like if you've never watched it, go back and watch the Czech Congo Pat Barry fight. Czech Congo got like rendered limp and useless twice, and like flopped around the octagon. And then at one point was hit back into consciousness and then threw a punch and knocked Pat Barry out cold.
I think I've seen that. I know what you're referencing.
Yeah, it's like a classic clip.
It's a like he should have, like, if I think it was Mergliotta, like if he had stopped the fight on 2 different occasions, nobody would have said anything, but he kind of let it go. I mean, he didn't kind of he let it go. And then Congo ends up winning. And it was just like, I mean, it was wild. So I, you know, it's fucking hard. I mean, it's not like that's a tough job. Anyway, back to the pick. I don't know. I was thinking about this game, and I think my knee-jerk reaction was to go to the Dolphins, but I like I know you're a Levis guy, Kieran, so I'm going to be really curious to hear your pick on this, but I can't stop thinking about that play he made.
He's a gamer.
He threw it was what, a tip pass or something.
It was a forward pass. It was originally ruled an interception and a fumble, and then they ended up ruling it just a fumble from Levis that was recovered and then fumbled back.
But he it was like a guy following a shot to the rim. And I don't know. I see that kind of effort. You know, I see a guy who's gaining confidence. You look at a coach like Vrabel who doesn't give in. You know, I know things aren't going for them. But this kind of feels like a great underdog spot for the Titans to go in. I don't know that. I mean, I don't think they're going to win this game, but they're going to fucking fight, and they're not going to go down. They're certainly not going to go down easy. It's a lot of points. I don't know. There's something about it. It's a bit of a gut thing here where I kind of like the Titans as like just a tough, rugged underdog catching 13, keeping it close enough where we can win it.
Yeah, I'm also on the Titans as well. I'd lean towards the underdog in prime time anyways. Like it's just kind of like my new thing, I guess, for this year. But I think a lot of these games, especially under the bright lights, like teams do get up and I was looking right now just to check. I was curious what the score. I forgot what the score was for that Dolphins Jets game when Tim Boyle started, and the Dolphins did end up running away with it. Of course, they had the touchdown from Mostert at the end that was great for our bets and everything like that. But it felt like they were still kind of playing like shit. Like they casually got that win because the Jets were so bad. They had the 99-yard pick six at the end of the first half. It's like things like that add up. But yeah, I don't know. It just feels like the Titans can kind of do what we saw this past week from the Packers and the Chiefs, where they can just run the ball and control the clock and try and keep that number of possessions low enough where it's just tough to win by 2 touchdowns anyways. So I think they can do that. And yeah, like you were saying, I mean, seeing Levis play like that, it's hard to not get behind a guy like that. Pause. But also just like even like there was like a clip of him yelling at DeAndre Hopkins on the sideline when he gave up on a route, and there were like dumbasses in the comments like, well, he shouldn't have thrown it out of bounds. Well, he threw it out of bounds because Hopkins didn't run the route.
Gave up on the route.
He was throwing it out. He was thrown away. But like a rookie to stand up to a guy that has like 10,000 receiving yards, one of the best receivers of his generation, all that shit. That tells me like what type of guy he is as far as a quarterback and a leader. So it's tough to not support a guy like that, especially getting this many points.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I wouldn't want to be in a must-win situation and needing 13 and a half points from any team on a given night, especially Monday nights. I mean, last night, it's kind of a bad example, but the weeks prior, there's not too many points being scored in these Monday night primetime spots. I just feel like it'd be kind of just, it's really just a gut feel, but I just don't see them covering that big of a number on a primetime game like that. I just think, for whatever reason, I think it could be a low scoring, weird game. I'm with it. I was getting my lead was the Titans. I would have gone Titans as well. So another clean sweep, I believe, on the Monday night game. Big underdog.
Bengals, yeah, it's just like one in doubt. I feel like take the underdog in a primetime.
You can't be needing 13 and a half points from anybody on Monday night.
And that just it feels like a week too. It's like, oh yeah, let's give like the squares the Dolphins, and they just need 2 touchdowns to win against like a shitty Titans team. But this is a team that's going to play into the last whistle. That Derrick Henry wants it. DeAndre Hopkins wants it. We were just talking about Levis and then how he's out there playing. So this is just like a hard-nosed team. They can play some physical football, and this could just be one of those games where Derrick Henry carries the ball 30 times for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. And, you feel like, oh, if the Dolphins going to stop here and then score, they could do it. And then Derrick Henry's running down the sideline with somebody chasing him. So, yeah, I'd much rather just have the 13 points here.
I'm also going back and checking the last 4. Hold on. The last 4 weeks, the underdog on Monday night has won outright.
That's a pretty good stat. that's
so
a pretty
you go
good.
Back, the Broncos. This goes back to the 13th. So this was week 10. Feels like just yesterday for us, but the Broncos took out the Bills 24-22. The Eagles were 2.5-point dogs against the Chiefs. They won 21-17. That's another one. It feels like we were just watching that game the other day. The Bears took out the Vikings. That was, I guess, still technically last week. And then, last night, Bengals, 8.5-point dogs, won outright, 34-31. So.
Is Burrow a system QB?
Yeah, I said this a couple times last night. You got to wonder if there's a Bledsoe Brady thing going on here with how good he looked. Time will tell. Time will tell. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, he's a 27-year-old undrafted guy, right? I think his first ever start. It's like his first win in 5 years or something like that.
Hilarious. Yeah. He was a beast of Washington, though. I remember that. I remember him.
Yeah. Yeah, back in 2010.
That's I think it was
back when the Pac-12 and the Pac-10,
Yeah. But I think it was Rico on Healthy Debate where he was saying it's like, we haven't seen him fail yet. Like, this was his very first game. Like, it could literally be this next week. You just go out and get fucking obliterated.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, when you're a backup quarterback, like all it takes is that one start and like you're set for life. You're like in the brotherhood, you're like always gonna have a job.
Yep. I'm actually looking up, trying to find his let's see his stats from
Sure, they're better than Tim Boyles. You see, he got cut. He's gone.
oh, did he?
I can't believe the Jets are making a mockery of their QBs like this, bro. They look so dumb with what they. I know they're working with nothing, but
I mean, even look
they're
at
already bet.
I
They're
know
already
he
back to Wilson.
was fucking up at the end of the game, but it's like look at how Flacco was just playing with like a week's practice with the Browns. It's like they could have brought him back in. He's already played with the Jets, and I think he'd be giving them a lot like a much more competitive team than what they're getting out of Simeon and Boyle and
Even like
Zach Wilson
even
saying
the
that he doesn't even want to
Giants,
play.
bro. Even the Giants are like making a little bit of something with Tommy DeVito, like just not much, but like just enough to be in some games, win some games. Like the Jets
I
have.
mean, speaking of it, I will say if we were to pick that
Jets are
Giants
brutal.
Packers game, I'd be all over the Giants plus 6.5. That's like
Yeah,
classic
yeah, me
letdown
too.
spot for the Packers coming off the last week's win.
I was actually gonna say. I mean, I wasn't gonna say, but that Giants pick is staring me in the face.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
saw.
and I was and I was looking. It's like Jordan Love, like he has played well in his last 2 road games, but it's like a huge difference between home and
Bro,
away.
those 2 Monday night games, bro. It's gonna be a wonky night. It's gonna be a super wonky night.
Yeah,
Some interesting numbers.
What for the wedding day, what's the pick, Army or Navy?
Shit. I guess Army. I'm not gonna go Navy. Isn't Navy trash? Navy's down,
was
right?
Army ranked or
I think Army's up and
Wasn't
Navy's
wasn't
down.
wasn't there was a service academy that was ranked at one point,
Air
wasn't there?
Force? I thought was ranked.
Air
I think
Force.
Air Force. Air Force is probably ranked. Yeah.
Army minus 2.5. They're both 5 and 6.
Yuck.
What's the total? Hold on, let me.
Both mid. No down or up. Just mid.
The over
28.5.
27.5.
Jeez.
Bro, the NFL, dude, there's some totals in the NFL that are crazy.
30 this week for Pats Steelers. I think
And there's another 30
Browns
points, right?
Jags is like 32 or 33.
Yep. That's the
Wait,
one.
so all right, so Air Force started their season 8-0. And then they lost to Army 23-3, and they proceeded to lose 4 straight.
Oh boy. That's debilitating. That's demoralizing.
That's terrible.
Houston and the Jets 32.5.
They literally just like stole their soul.
Yeah, they were ranked as high as 25th.
Dude, the Texans were up there for me, Kieran. I almost picked the Texans.
Against the Jets.
Yeah.
I think I just hate the Texans now.
I just didn't want to hop in.
You're out on the Texans.
Yeah, I think I'm just tired of it. I think I'm tired of the CJ Stroud shit.
Bro, I'm ready to start saying things about CJ. I'm ready to start talking about overrated.
I'm not giving up on my take. I mean, I wasn't big on him going into the NFL or anything. So I mean, I'm not giving up on that yet. I mean, Matt
CJ's
Jones is a
officially
fucking
made
Pro
it,
Bowl.
bro. CJ's officially made it. He's got haters.
Yeah.
I'm ready to be one.
The moment he started to get MVP talk, the haters came out. That's all.
Rightfully so. I mean, it is kind of ridiculous.
As fast.
No,
as
I know. It
possible.
just, but it's the perfect demonstration of how like they build you up and immediately look to take you down.
Yeah.
He was like the poster boy like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like everyone loved him. He could do no wrong. Now it's all right. Like
now people are out on him. Crazy. So.
Losing Tank Dell actually is going to be a big factor, I think, though. That feels like a big loss for that.
I think it is pretty significant. They also need Dalton Schultz to come back. I don't know what the deal is with his.
Is Noah Brown back? I mean, he put up massive
I think Noah Brown was back in like a limited capacity last week.
Yeah,
so
but I don't think he registered a stat last week. He was when Tank Dell went out, he didn't register anything. I don't think Robert Woods registered anything either. It was like
only
Nico Collins is a guy that
was all Nico.
Only him.
But Nico Collins is a guy that's like, I mean, he was like a walking foot injury for like the first couple of years of his career too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking, he played 14 and 10 games in his first 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's like he's a guy that could also just get some type of injury at any moment.
It's a house of cards over there in Houston.
Yeah, I mean, I like D'Amico Ryans. I think he should be. I think he is, but in that Coach of the Year conversation, I mean,
Yeah.
going from top pick to that is pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, I think trying to squeeze the MVP conversation into a 500 team is a bit ridiculous.
I think Belichick should be in the conversation for Coach of the Year.
GM of the year at least,
Yeah,
GM of the Year. Yeah, maybe that's better.
or both.
You said it a few weeks ago, Karen. I mean, it's a professional tank job.
yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I mean, if I
Diabolical.
had really sat down and thought a little bit more about it, I would not have taken the Pats against the Giants just because I would have considered the implications of what it would mean to beat the Giants and what that would mean for their draft pick. So even, I was joking around with the Intakis a few weeks ago and saying it's like, well, we're still going to beat the Jets just because, but I actually don't think we will because I think it would, and then maybe that's a look ahead for us, but when the Pats play the Jets, because, I think it would be very Jets for them to beat the Pats, finally get their win against the Pats in like a decade. And that helps them get the number one pick, get, Caleb Williams, Drake May, whoever they want.
Who's going to terrorize them for the next
exactly. Like that's just like how it's going to go for the Jets. So,
No.
earlier in the year, I was very sure that we could still mark that as a win. I'm not feeling that anymore.
Did I say it to you guys about I know I said it somewhere. The Bears are gonna pass on Drake May because he's a quarterback out of UNC they don't want to draft too high, and do the same thing like they did with Trubisky. They're gonna go Caleb Williams.
I feel like they're gonna end up sticking with.
And then Drake May is gonna be like an All-Pro like talent, and the Pats will get him.
Yeah, I feel like
very Bears and
sticking with Fields and just saying like if we get a Marvin Harrison and because they have those 2 picks, so like there's a world where they can go Marvin Harrison and then get like that offensive lineman from Penn State or do whatever the hell.
No. Poles is trying to get like 3 more years as the GM over there, bro. He's gonna get a new quarterback.
Could be. I mean, they probably will have a new coach.
He'll be fired by end of next year if they stink again, and he just rolls out Fields. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really just depends on how he ends the season. Like, I mean, he's been playing all right, so it's like if they can put something together, he might be able to save his tenure in Chicago. Justin Fields could.
I'd love it if Belichick takes Marvin Harrison just so he can prove that he can draft a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Produce.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. It'd be a good pick.
I mean, my defense of Belichick and the receivers that he's drafted 2 of like the 5 receivers that have won Super Bowl MVP, but I guess nobody gives a shit about that.
I know.
Just fantasy related things, okay, bro?
Yeah.
Let's see. How many actually is it? I'm sure Jerry Rice has one.
Has what?
Super Bowl MVP.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people have won Super Bowl MVP. So Belichick has drafted 1/4 of the receivers to win Super Bowl MVP.
So Rice did win one?
Yeah. Biletnikoff, Lynn Swan, Biletnikoff, Jerry Rice, Deion Branch, Hines Ward, Santonio Holmes, Edelman, Cup.
What year did Rice win it? Did he win it in 95?
89.
Oh, 89. Okay. Young must have won it in 95 when they obliterated the Chargers. 89, was that the Broncos that they beat?
Looking right now, let me see. Yep, the Broncos, 55-10.
That was a fucking... That's crazy.
Yeah, it's 7 catches for 148 yards and 3 touchdowns. Not bad.
Not bad at all.
No.
How many touchdowns did Montana throw in that game?
Let's see.
Obviously, he threw at least 3.
Montana had 5. He had 297 yards, 5 touchdowns, no picks.
Bro, that's some crazy. That's a crazy.
Can you imagine the odds we could have gotten on a same game parlay
Oh my god.
Yeah,
with
that would've been
Montana?
nuts.
That's the AARP.
And no, nobody else really did shit for them. Nobody else over 50 yards.
That's where we would have lost.
That's crazy.
Yeah, well, it would have been like the Christian Kirk thing, you know.
I tried to sneak in one receiver.
And Elway had 108 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks.
Kieran, bro, Kristen Kirk just like breaking his balls.
And it's like it's like I was saying to you guys, where like he really was like a last second. Like I was like, well, like the numbers were just 2 in his favor. But then I can't even get mad because like he had 26 yards on the first play. Like he was well on his way to getting 40 yards. That's all I needed. He was easily going to get that. So I can't even be mad about like putting him in. It's like it was a good bet.
He was gonna maybe get that on that drive.
Yeah, exactly. Like he could have gotten that with his very next catch. So but butterfly effect, who knows? He sticks around. Maybe Evan Ingram doesn't get those opportunities or something. So
Right.
never know. But hopefully another play like that comes to me in the near future. It'd be nice to hit a like an 8-leg parlay. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I think what also hurts is that if I just stuck with the QBs, Ingram and Chase, like their normal props, like I think I would have hit probably for the same or better odds, but whatever.
Yeah. Well,
and the touchdowns, hitting the touchdowns is crazy. Once Chase got that, I was like, oh my god.
That was unbelievable. I can't believe that. What are you gonna do?
Like I said, I woke up motivated.
Yeah,
We're gonna hit that no touchdown or defensive touchdown on Thursday night. No problem.
yeah.
we're taking all unders.
Yeah.
Have to. Have no choice.
All right. Well, I mean, we'll be texting plenty on Thursday, but Bowen, have a hell of a weekend.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Brandon, you too. I know you'll be part of the festivities.
Yeah.
So enjoy yourself. Mom and dad will be there too, right?
Yeah, they're going. They're excited.
Love it. Got the invite. Good stuff. All right. Well, have a good time.
Yep.
And let's go 5-0 for Bowen.
Yeah.
Hey.
It'd be a good week to do it.
That'd be crazy. Yeah.
This would be a great week to do it.
Yeah.
Why not us?
Little we'll pad the old bank account for the honeymoon for when you take it.
Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
nice.
Let's have a huge Q4. Let's really take it.
It's like I was saying to you, Zach and I were playing Fortnite earlier, and I was saying it's like, by the numbers, we're more than likely, it's a very big uphill battle that we're fighting if we want to get in the money. It's not impossible. We can still go for it, but at the very least, we should be fighting for just a respectable record. Let's finish above 50%. Let's get to that like 53% where like our picks would be profitable on the year or anything like that.
Yep.
So we always have that like dangling in front of us as an incentive as well. So at the very least, it's a pride thing. Let's finish it out strong.
I love it.
Yep.
All right.
Fellas.
All right. See you next week.
Guys.
All right. Later.